Hello everyone, welcome to the course Computer Networks. This is S. Parvathi, Assistant Professor, Department of CSIT, MLR Institute of Technology. In today's session, we are going to discussing about network devices and internet. These two topics we are going to discussing in today's session. Let us see the overview of today's session. First, we are going to discussing about devices in computer networks. What are the different devices we are going to using in computer networks? Those are the repeater, hub, bridge, switch, router and gateway. These devices we are going to discuss in today's session, and next we are going to discussing about the internet. First, what are these devices where we are going to use? So there are in computer networks total two reference models. These two reference models are the TCP/IP reference model. This is the TCP/IP reference model, and the next reference model is the OSI, Open System Interconnection reference model. These two reference models we are using in computer networks. TCP/IP is having the 4 layers, and at the same time OSI is having the 7 layers. So these 7 layers are the application layer, presentation layer, application layer, presentation layer. Next one is the session layer, and next one is the transport layer. This is the transport layer, and next one is the network layer, and next one is the data link layer, and the final one is the physical layer. These are the 7 layers we are going to use in OSI reference models, right? So coming to these layers, we can call it as a software layers, and coming to these three, call it as a hardware layers, right? These are the software layers and these are the hardware layers, and transport layer is called as a heart of OSI. Already we all these discussed in previous session. So heart of the OSI is called as a transport layer. So whatever hardware layers is there we are going to use these all devices 6. So first of all, repeater and hub, these two comes under the physical layer. These two devices, repeater at the same time hub, these two we are going to use in physical layer, and coming to data link layer we are going to use the bridge and switch. These two devices we are going to use in data link layer, and coming to network layer we are going to use the router and gateway. These two devices comes under the network layer. These are the hardware layers. So there we are going to use these devices. This all we are going to discuss in briefly in today's session. First, let us see the first device, repeater. What is repeater here? Repeater is nothing. I already told repeater we are going to use in which layer? Physical layer. It is works with the physical layer of the OSI model. At the same time, where exactly we are going to use this repeater is, it is a hardware device. At the same time, it regenerates and retransmits the network signals. What is the main work of the repeater? Means whatever the data is there in physical layer, that is in the form of physical layer data in the form of bits only, right? This data, whatever data is going to be transferred in the form of signals to receiver. Here is the another physical layer. This is the sender side, and this is the receiver side physical layer. Receiver side, whatever data is going from the sender to receiver, that is going to be in the form of that bits is converted into the signals or waves, right? Signals or waves. Whenever we are transferring those signals, that may be chance to, there is a chance of these signals, whatever signals are there, those signals that may be going to be attenuation. Means whenever they are transferring the data, how the data is going to, this is a signal, right? Here the data is going to be transferred from the physical layer, from sender side physical layer to receiver side physical layer. When the data is transferring from this sender to receiver, there may be chance to this signal going to be, whatever strength is going to be there, that is going to be, there may be chance to getting down also. Strength is maybe going to getting down. If it is longer distance, if it is going to longer distance, the strength may be going to getting down. To regenerate the signal, to regenerate those signal, we are going to use the repeater. Regenerating and retransmit purpose, we are going to use repeater. Means to strengthen that particular signal, we are going to use the repeater. It also operates the electrical or optical signals without interpreting the data that is going to be transmitted. That is the main aim of the repeater. At the same time, these repeaters are mainly used for what? It is overcome the signal attenuation. Attenuation is nothing but the signal strength is going to be getting down. To overcome that particular problem, we are going to use repeater for regenerating those signal. Means it is signal is getting down. To regenerate those signal, we are going to use the repeater. That is the main aim of the repeater. At the same time, it is connected from 1 to 1 port. It is connected to 1 to 1 port. And coming to next one is the hub. It is also used in which layer? It is also used in physical layer only. Repeater and hub both are comes under physical layer only. It is multi-port repeater. In previous, it is repeater is 1 to 1. But coming to here, hub is 1 to many. 1 to many is the multi-port repeater. 1 port to multi-port repeater. See, in this picture, here it is taking the data from one device and it is transferring to multi-port. That is the hub. That is the main difference. At the same time, a hub also used for the regenerating the signal. Whenever the data is going to be transferred from the longer distances, that strength may be going to be getting down. The signal strength. To overcome that particular problem, we are going to use repeater and hub. Hub also for this regenerating the signal only, but the difference is it is 1 to many port. It is works with the physical layer and also it is a simple device and it is connected to multiple network devices and the central point for the data transmission. Whenever the data packet arrives from its ports, the hub is going to be broadcast to the all other ports, that is 1 to many port, and ensuring all the connected devices to receive the data, and also it facilitating the scaling communication in between the additional host. That is about the hub. That is the difference between the repeater and hub also. And next device is bridge. Bridge is used in which layer? This is going to be used in the data link layer. It is the layer 2 in the OSI reference model. It is used in data link layer. So at the same time, suppose in real time where we are going to use bridge where we are using bridge means whenever suppose this is the river, here is this is the river, this is the river. For connecting this end and this end, this is one end and this is one end, this is the river. For connecting these two ends, we are going to call it as a bridge. We are going to use bridge. For connecting two ends only, right? Here also bridge having the two ports. For connecting this end and this end, we are going to use the bridge. At the same time, for forwarding these packets based on the MAC address, we are connecting this bridge, this end and this end based on the MAC address. Effectively for separating the network segment into the collision domains. At the same time, this bridge is a network device that is connected to two or more local area network. This is one local area network and this is also one local area network. For connecting this and this, we are going to use the bridge. At the same time, it sends the data to the destination using which address? MAC address. It sends the data using the destination MAC address. At the same time, it also learns the which hosts are on each side. Which host is there in this side, which host is going to be involved in this side, that is going to be learned. That is the bridge. This is about the bridge in data link layer. And next one is the switch, where we are going to use the switch. So, switch is also a hardware device. At the same time, it is connected to the multiple devices. It is means multiple ports. In previous, it is the bridge is going to be connected to the only two ports, right? But coming to switch, it is connected to the multiple ports. At the same time, it is also well stating the communication between the local networks. Bridge and switch. These both are bridge and switch. These two are within the network. Within the network only. Within the network, for connecting within the network, we are going to use the bridge and switch. It also operates at the data link layer of the OSI reference model. And the main difference between the bridge and switch, bridge also used for connecting the within the network only, switch also for connecting within the network only. The difference is the bridge does not support the data buffering and error checking. But in coming to switch, it supports the data to the buffering and at the same time error checking also. Data buffering. At the same time, next one is the error checking. These two all comes under the switch. These are the differences between the bridge and switch also in data link layer. And also it is forwarding the data packets to the specific destination device based on the MAC address. Here in bridge and switch, we are going to use the MAC address, media access controller address. It is a unique identifier address exactly which device I want to send the data. For that purpose, we are going to use the MAC address. Each device, whatever devices are there, each device is having their own MAC address. Means exactly which device I want to send the data. That is their purpose. We are going to use the bridge, at the same time switch. Main difference is there is no data buffer and error checking in bridge, but in switch buffering is there, at the same time error checking also there in switch. This is about the switch. And the next device is router. What is router? It is used in network layer in the OSI reference model. That is the layer 3 in the OSI reference model. And it also facilitates the communication between the networks. Previously, bridge and switch within the network. Within the network is bridge, and bridge switch comes under within the network. Coming to between the networks, that is the router and gateway. These two are comes under the between the networks, router and gateway. At the same time, to send the data to the another network, from one network to another network, for sharing the data using the IP address, we are going to use the router. Means here is the one network. Means sender network is different and the receiver network is different. For sending the data from this network to this network, we are going to use the router. Using the IP address, we are going to transferring the data from one network to another network. For that purpose, we are using router. At the same time, it operates in the network layer. Router, it is a network device. Mainly, it is connected to the 2 or more packet switch networks and forwarding the data packets. Whatever data is there, that is going to be transferred in the network layer in the form of packets only. Forwarding these packets in between them based on their IP address. Based on the IP address, they are going to be forward the data. That is about the router. And it is also main act as a traffic controller. Because traffic controller, how it is going to be traffic controller? It determines the best path. Means for sender to receiver, there are number of paths, maybe the number of paths to sending the data. Which is the best route for sending the data? For that purpose also, we are going to use the router. That is about the router in networks. And next one is the gateway. What is gateway? Here also, it is also used in the network layer only. We are going to use the IP address. What is the main difference between the gateway and router? It is also for connecting the one network to another network. It is also operating layer 3, that is network layer. It is act as a bridge, means entry point between the different networks, particularly using the different protocols and data formats. There we are going to use the gateway. At the same time, it going to be facilitates the communication and data transfer by translating the information from one protocol to another protocol and allowing the devices on the more network to the communicate with devices on the other. And this gateway serves as an entry and exit point of the network, mainly for managing the traffic and ensuring the compatibility between the disparate network environments. We are going to use the gateway. For understanding this, suppose the main difference between the router and gateway. See here, this is the router and this is the gateway. Assume these two are comes under network layer only, right? So in both devices, we are going to use IP address. Suppose take example. Suppose if I want to transfer from the in India only, I am traveling. Suppose I am going to traveling through the aeroplane from Hyderabad to I want to go to travel to the Delhi. So within the here it is in India only I am going to traveling. So here from here is I am going to use another network. Here is I am going to use another network. There we are going to use the router. Suppose take one more example. I am going to travel from Chennai to Mumbai. Here is I am going to use one network. Here is maybe local network, LAN network, and here I am going to use nothing but the MAN network or WAN network, something I am going to use. For transferring in between these. In India only I am going to transfer. There we are going to use the router. Coming to the gateway. Gateway is the different environment. Total network architecture is going to be different. Total network architecture is different. Like total environment, disparate network environment. Total environment is different. Suppose I am traveling from India to US. Total network architecture is different. Here in India, we are going to use different architecture. In US, I am going to use different architecture. Because like example here, I am going to use rupees. There we are going to use dollars, right? So total network architecture is different. At the same time, if you want to enter into the US, If you want to exit into the US, suppose their entry and exit is there, right? There you have to show your passport and visa, all you have to show to, right? That is nothing but total network architecture is different. There you are going to use the gateway. And router is, suppose here from one network to another network we are traveling, there we are going to use the router. This is the difference, main difference between the router and gateway. And next, let us see the overview of all these 6 devices. First, repeater, hub, bridge, switch, router and gateway. These are the 6 devices. So, coming to repeater hand, these two comes under the physical layer only. So, the main difference is addressing here is 1 to 1 port, and coming to hub, it is broadcasting, means 1 to multiple port. And the whatever data, it deals with the signals, that is a repeater, and the hub is deals with the bits. At the same time, repeater mainly for regenerating the signal, that is attenuation. At the same time, it is also for attenuation purpose, it is a basically multi-port repeater. That is the main difference between the repeater and hub. Coming to bridge and switch, these two comes under data link layer only. Both are addressing the MAC address only, that is media access controller, and both are deals with the frames only, bridge and switch. The main difference is it sends the data to the destination using which address? MAC address. And here it does not support the data buffer and error checking in this, right? So coming to here, it supports the data buffer, at the same time error checking in switch. That is the difference between the bridge and switch. And coming to router and gateway, here it is the network layer. Both are working with the network layer, and both they are using IP address, that is internet protocol address. There it is router is using the packets and messages. Next one is the whatever data that is going to be connecting to the another network using the IP address, that is connecting the LANs and WANs, we are going to use the router. And it is an entrance gateway, that is about the network layer and gateway. See, it is an entrance to the different network, different total architecture is different. There we are going to use the gateway. That is the main work of the gateway. These are the different devices we are going to use in computer networks. Now, let us see the internet. What is internet? It is also called as internetworking. It is a worldwide global system that is connected to the unconnected computer networks. It is a worldwide global system. Everywhere, anywhere we are going to use internet. At the same time, it uses standard internet protocol. Internet uses one standard internet protocol, that is TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. And every computer in internet, it is identify the unique address. So if you want to identify something, there may be unique address, that is the IP address, internet protocol address. This IP address mainly telling that it is a unique set of numbers. IP address is the range of IP address is 0 to 255 only. Whatever numbers are going to be there in between, there may be the range is 0 to 255 only. So whatever numbers are involved in this, right? These all are, so that are 0 to 255 only. The address is like this. Whatever address is, that is in between 0 to 255. That is about the IP address. It is a unique address which identifies the computer location. For identifying the exact computer location, there we are going to use the IP address. It is a special computer DNS, that is domain name service. It is used to give the name to the IP address so that the user can locate the computer by that name. Suppose if I want to give www.example.com, everyone understand, user can understand this one only. This is suppose take it as a example, as this is the one website. User understand this this one only, this language only, that is the domain name address, and they don't know about the IP address. For connecting these two, some IP address, suppose take it as an example, suppose for connecting this particular address, we are going to use the domain name service, that is domain name server, that is the DNS. And next, what is the history of the internet? First, internet history. In 1968, ARPANET is going to be demonstrated. First, it is going to be ARPANET is demonstrated, that is TCP/IP is invented. That is the first gateway. And next, it is going to be transferred into the ARPANET transition into the TCP/IP. And then it is going to be used. And next one is in 1986, it is going to be transferred into many thousands of everything. And finally, it is connected to the World Wide Web, that is Internet Society is going to be founded. That is about the history of the internet. So it is the DARPA. Next, it is converted to the DARPA DCA. And next is converted to DCA NSF. and finally it is connected to FNC. This is the internet history. And next one is the history. What are the terms we used right here? These all we are going to discuss now. So first IETF is there. What is the main responsible of this IETF? The process of creating and adopting the new standards, we are going to use the IETF. And next one is the ISOC, that is Internet Student Society, that is provides the supports for the internet standards process. For that purpose, we are going to use the ISOC. And next one is the IAB, Internet Architecture Board. This can be used, it is as a technical advisor to ISOC. Technical advisor of ISOC is IAB, and to research members of internet community, we are going to use the IAB. And next one is IETF. IETF means Internet Engineering Task Force. It is a forum, working groups responsible for the operational problems, and for reviewing proposed standards, we are going to use the internet. And next one is Internet Research Task Force. It is mainly used for focusing on the long-term research related to the internet. That purpose also we are going to use IRTF. And next one is INIANA, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. This can be used for the management of the names and addresses. We are going to use IANA. And next one is Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers, that is ICANN. This is the main responsible for the management of the internet names and addresses. We are going to use the ICANN. This is all about the history of the internet. And coming to the summary of today's session, first we discuss what are the different devices are there in computer networks. Those devices are repeater, hub, bridge, switch, router and gateway. These all we discussed in today's session. And finally we discussed what is internet, what is the history of internet, all discussed in today's session. In next session we are going to discussing about X.25 and frame relay. These two topics we are going to discuss in next session. Thank you.